I'm interested in this, Ed, because you were thinking about a move earlier, and you thought, well, let's wait and see what Obama is really about. And it's like, and I was kind of like similar, like maybe it's evolving, maybe, and as it turns out, you know, probably the worst administration in terms of transparency that I've ever, you know, covered. And what I wonder about is like, you're kind of a spook. Did the spooks get to him?
I mean,
what happened?
So the intelligence community dynamic is really, really complex, really interesting. In general, you know, the people who make a career out of intelligence, they don't care about the president. You know, they say, who is this guy? He's going to be gone in 8 years. We're here for 30, right? So even if we get the most anti-intelligence president out there, somebody who really hates spies, really is pro-reform, wants to make sure we're leading the world on the basis of our values rather than on the basis of our capabilities, they'll just wait him out. They'll just wait him out. But regardless of how good the president is, the next president, you know, when they come in, they're going to give them a briefing as soon as they take the oath that is designed to scare them to death. They go, here are all the 3 streams of threat reporting that we have right now that are threats against you, against your family, against the American people, against our allies, and oh, by the way, we'll update these every day, you know, each day for a week, and so on until you tell us, oh, please stop. And unless you give us new authorities, we're not certain we can counter these threats. There was a really fascinating exchange in the Senate today, the Senate Intelligence Committee, where they had the chief, I believe, of NCTC, the National Counterterrorism Center, and Dianne Feinstein, who is certainly no supporter of mine. She's been one of my harshest critics.
She's called you some names, I think.
Yeah, she's
just playful ones like traitor and things like that.
That's one, yeah.
But that's all right. You know, if you're not willing to be called some bad names to serve your country, you really don't care that much about your country. So, you know, bring the names on. But ultimately, she had this NCTC guy under oath in front of her. And it was about the torture report. She said, look, in advance of the torture report, you gave us this threat assessment that said the sky is going to fall. You know, all of our guys overseas are going to be killed if you release this report in a backlash against us because you've proven that we tortured people. And she kind of looks around the chamber, and I'm paraphrasing here, but you know, she's roughly saying, well, the sky hasn't fallen. How do you explain this? And he hems and haws and goes through all these bureaucratic sort of excuses. And ultimately, it boils down to, I saw a tweet about this, which was quite insightful. It said, it's complicated. He can't say that the threat assessment was wrong, because that would undermine sort of confidence in the intelligence community. He can't say that it was right, because it obviously wasn't. There was no violence related to the torture report. But this happens every day to a new president, and that's kind of what happens. They subvert them regardless of their intent. They kind of embrace them. They bring them on the inside. They say, you're one of us now. You have access to all this information. Don't feel bad about your previous positions because you just didn't know. You didn't have access to the information. But now you do, and now you know. So you can make the right decision. So it's easy for people to justify this. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means, look, these are people who are very good salesmen. They've been doing this for 60 years or more now as a community, and they've got the pitch refined. The problem is, when we look at a president they came into office as a reformer. They made a lot of promises. You know, they say they're going to close Guantanamo. They say surveillance without a warrant is not a good thing. But then they extend these policies. For example, the FISA Amendments Act of 2008, right. The thing we've got now that allows warrantless surveillance, a general warrant signed by the Attorney General, to apply to a number of people. When they have these things and they don't do anything about them, how do we explain that then? The most frustrating thing for me about this is the fact that the president has the power, because these are executive agencies, and these operations are not required by law. He could close Guantanamo tomorrow. at a stroke of the pen that he's always talked about. He could end mass surveillance tomorrow at the stroke of the pen. And, you know, we get comments out of them saying, oh, well, we're hoping for a law. We're hoping for a law. But we don't need a law. And legality is distinct from morality. And if the president of all people in the country is not willing to stand up for our rights, what kind of this message does this send to citizens, to children, and to people around the world about what our values really mean to our government?